If you're afraid of getting your YouTube channel hacked, or if you actually have gotten hacked already, then you definitely want to watch this video, because what I'm going to do is share with you one of the methods that most people fall victim to and eventually get their account compromised. And I do believe this is one of the top methods that these spam botters are using today to gain access to your account. So let's do this. What's up, y'all? It's John Master Lee, helping all you fellow YouTubers out there to level up like a boss. All right, so with the proliferation of all these spam botters out there, whether it's Logan, Elixir, Vaxi, Bananarama, Tom, Tim, so many of them, so many of them. And it's created this false impression that they're getting access to your account because all you have to do is just leave a reply to one of their comments and then boom, they just got access to your account. I mean, that is a very scary prospect, so I can see why people are up in arms and just panicking about it. But that's not how it's happening. And in fact, what's likely happening is that these accounts were already hacked a long time ago. What these spam botters are doing is basically using all these different hacked accounts to send out all these spam messages to people. And I know this remains an issue because YouTube themselves, their product team, is sending messages to people via email, posting up warning messages on top of YouTube's Creator Studio, and even creating videos about, hey, this is what you need to do to protect yourself because a lot of people are getting hacked. So it's one reason why YouTube hasn't done anything in particular to stop these spam bots, because the truth is the spam bots themselves are not hacking people. People are getting hacked off of YouTube. And one of the top ways in terms of they're getting hacked is through phishing. I'm not talking about deep sea phishing here, people. I'm talking about phishing. Phishing. I've always been curious why it's spelled that way. So if anyone knows, let me know. Now, email phishing is not a new thing. It's pretty much been around since, well, the dawn of email. I mean, over $60 million are swindled from people every single year. And I think to myself, do people actually still believe there are Nigerian princes out there? But the reality is that there are still a lot of people who are falling prey to this. And that's why these Nigerian princes keep popping up. Now, I know it's not Nigerian princes anymore. There's variants of that, whether it's some sort of government coup or someone who has a lot of gems stashed away and needs to find a way to funnel it to the US. And usually they're preying upon the elderly. They're going for the most susceptible people out there, which is in one way very smart, but at the same time, well, that's exactly how spammers work. They go after the most susceptible people. And guess who right now is the most susceptible? YouTubers. Small YouTubers. Small YouTubers who are desperate for growth, desperate for any sort of acknowledgement, desperate for monetization. I'm gonna give you a couple examples here of how email phishing gets people. And I know these work because I had almost fallen victim to both of these examples so far. All right, the first one is fake sponsorship emails. Now, it is a dream of every YouTuber to eventually have their first sponsorship deal. The idea of being able to pitch a product and make money from it, oh, that's like the dream. That feels like you made it. So when a company reaches out to you and basically says, hey, we would love to sponsor your video, let's work out a deal, people tend to put down their guard and start engaging with them. So you engage in a couple of conversations. They may even send you to a website that they have where they say, well, for all of our sponsors, you need to log in here. Well, right then and there, that's one of your first warning signs, because by just logging into any sort of account, they have potential access to your information. Or if they start asking to hook up some software to your email account, well, this functions very similar to a number of apps out there that are legitimate, that basically need access to your YouTube account to be able to manage your account or check on different stats or offer you new features. Well, if you give one of these sponsors access to something like that without validating who that sponsor is, that is how a lot of people fall victim. Now, I had gotten an email like this before and I had engaged in a couple of conversations, and I can tell you some of them sound straight up legit. And in fact, one of them actually was legit. It was a small company that basically offered headphones and headsets, and they actually did send me product to review and write about. But the other ones were definitely very fishy. Now, the other method these hackers used to gain access to your YouTube account is through an email that feels very, very personalized. The one that I almost fell for was through an email that allowed me to get a verification badge as a YouTuber. Now, verification has been a big topic lately on YouTube because they took away verification for pretty much just about any new YouTuber. And in fact, they took it away for a lot of existing YouTubers, which caused a big brouhaha, and that's why it was front page news, and that's why it was top of mind for me. You see, I have another channel that had just reached 100,000 subscribers. Woohoo! So as you can imagine, I was very, very happy. It was top of mind. And the next day, I got an email that I thought was from YouTube that was basically saying, if you want to verify your channel, just click here. So I thought, okay, well, maybe YouTube changed their policy that says we're going to offer verification badges, but the bar is now set at 100,000 subscribers. The fact that that email came in at the right time made me lower my guard just enough for me to almost click on that email. Now, the thing is that the email address that it came from seemed pretty legit to me. It's one of these variants of something like YouTube's product team or YouTubeCreator.com, but it was not from one of the official domains that YouTube sends emails from. And in fact, the only two domains that YouTube has confirmed that you should ever trust are these right here, shown right now. In fact, YouTube's product team has made videos about this that go into detail of avoiding these phishing attacks. Now you may ask yourself, well, how did the spammer know all this information about me? And how can it trick you potentially to clicking on an email even though you know better? Well, you see, it's not that difficult because a lot of this information is already out there and they're using that information to target you specifically. For me, what I'm sensing is that they just checked my channel and realized that I just reached 100,000 subscribers. That information is right there on my YouTube page and it's easy for some bot to scrape that data. Well, all they have to then do is go to my About page and then check to see if I have an email address available for business inquiries, which I did. So now all they have to do is use a bot or even use a person at this point to just send an email to me from some fake email address at Google that seemed very, very close to a legit email address from YouTube, and to say a couple of things that made it sound like this is an email from Google, like, hey,
you just reached 100,000 subscribers. Click here to earn your verification badge.
And at this point, it can take you to a whole nother website that is spoofing YouTube, in which case you are basically screwed at that point. Let's talk about protecting yourself. There's a couple things you could do to protect yourself to avoid phishing scams. The first thing you want to do right now is just do a quick security checkup. This is a feature that is offered by Google, which owns YouTube. And right here, you can see that there are different ways for you to see when your account was accessed and where it was accessed. Make sure you double check that to see if you aren't already being compromised. And second, it can also check for any sort of suspicious activity in the past, giving you some warning of other possible breaches. While you're here, it's a good time to set up two-factor authentication. Now, two-factor authentication basically means that you will have a second method to check if an account is accessed from, let's say, a different device that it doesn't recognize. It will typically send you an email or text message to your phone to validate that this account is yours. Now, the other way to protect yourself from phishing scams is to always double check the email address from the sender. Look for misspellings, look for anything that looks like it's not the actual domain. Now you have to go a little bit further than this because you also have to double check the links that are in the email to see if they take you to a legitimate website.
I get it.
Now, what makes this tricky is that some major companies actually use third-party services for a number of different things. So it's sometimes hard to check to see if whether or not it actually came from a legitimate source. I mean, case in point, Facebook, one of the biggest companies in the world, well, they oftentimes do a lot of user testing. And this user testing group oftentimes uses third-party websites to do surveys or screenings or focus groups. And oftentimes, even I don't know what these third-party sites are. They aren't some of the big ones out there, like say SurveyMonkey. So when I run into those situations, I'm very hesitant to go any further because, as you can imagine, a lot of surveys ask you very sensitive information, like give us your contact information, give us your email, phone number, so we can follow up with you if you want to participate and earn $100, to participate in this survey or focus group. Well, they're offering money as well as an incentive. Very fishy. Facebook, you need to look into this. And of course, when it comes to sponsorships, the rule of thumb that I have is this. If you're under 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, you really have to question if sponsorship is real. Most companies don't want to go through the hassle of having to work with such small YouTubers because they simply don't have the reach. Now you may think, well, maybe the big companies don't, but some of the smaller ones do. True, but more often than not, these sponsorships are not real. So you have to go into this with a high degree of caution and verifying everything before you even give away any bit of information. A tactic as simple as say that, hey, if you want to chat, let's chat on the phone before we do any sort of deal. And if we chat on the phone, I'm going to call you, give me your phone number versus the other way around. Anytime you start to get pushback, becomes a red flag. It comes to any account that you have that you think is highly valuable, right? I'm talking about your bank account. I'm talking about something like Amazon or even YouTube account, anything that has money associated with it. Rather than click on any link within an email, I just go to that website directly and log in. This way you avoid any of the emails regarding email phishing. All right, y'all, I hope this information is useful for not just YouTubers out there, but for everybody, because email phishing is a real thing. And yes, even someone like me has come close to situations like that. And if I were to be honest with you, my wife has fallen for this so many different times that I pretty much have to keep her computer in quarantine all the time as if it's got COVID-19. All right, so this is how we can now help each other. If you have gotten an email scam or a phishing attempt in the past, leave a comment below. Let me know about it. Let everyone know about it to make sure that no one else falls for something like this. Together, we can combat this. Now, if you want to know about the other ways in terms of how hackers are getting access to your account, check out my other video in terms of how they're doing it via browser extensions and mobile apps. And make sure you stay tuned for a future video, which I'm going to go into another method that is oftentimes used to gain access to accounts. Stay safe out there, y'all. Peace out.